And re-registration is coordinated by Student Involvement, which is an Office of University Life, the Student Affairs Division at George Mason University, for the 2017-2018 academic year. Student involvement is located in the Hub Suite 2300.
If all the requirements are completed for re-registration, there are a variety of ways that a Tier 3 registered student organization can plan a successful event. This video is designed to expose you to a basic process of planning an event for a Tier 3 organization.
As an RSO on campus, there are a lot of responsibilities. Student involvement hopes to help you as much as possible. As a part of the relationship that student involvement hopes to have with you, there is quite a bit of information that you need to know. There are 4 phases within the re-registration process to help you know the information and understand your responsibilities.
Phase 1 is the Get Connected application. This application helps student involvement to obtain and manage the up-to-date contact information for your organization, for the organization to submit an updated constitution or bylaws, and update the roster for the next academic year. Remember that student involvement must always be informed of any executive board changes. This helps to maintain effective communication for everyone involved.
After Phase 1 is Phase 2. In Phase 2, the president and treasurer of each organization must watch the training videos online, like the one you're watching now, and then take the corresponding quiz before the deadline.
Phase 3 are the fiscal trainings. For a Tier 3, Phase 3 consists of Fiscal 1.5, which is the only in-person training required from student involvement. This training helps to understand the funding process more in depth, as well as the intricate rules for spending funding from the university. This also gives you, as the organization, an opportunity to ask more in-depth questions and meet the student involvement representatives that you will be working closely with. The trainings are often done by the Assistant Director of Student Organizations and Student Government, the Student Involvement Business Manager, and the Student Funding Board members themselves. This face-to-face interaction helps to build a great foundation for those important relationships.
Tier 3 organization, president and treasurer are also required to complete Fiscal 3.0 as a part of Phase 3, fiscal trainings. The Fiscal 3.1 training is the training needed to receive any kind of funding for travel. The training is completed by either both the president and the treasurer watching a video and completing the corresponding quiz, or the president and the treasurer signing the opt-out waiver and sending it via email to sfb@gmu.edu.
Remember that all components of the re-registration must be complete in order to be a registered student organization with student involvement.
Phase 4 is the RSO Summit. The summit is held in the fall and is required for any executive board member from each registered student organization. This summit is designed to enhance your leadership skills, further develop your relationship with student involvement, familiarize your organization with more resources, and network with other registered student organization members on campus. This is an incredible opportunity to really grow and develop the organization in a positive way.
The most important thing to know as a student organization leader is your organization number for your on-campus account. This number always starts with 610 and will be followed by 3 digits that designate your organization on campus. This number will be used throughout this video as a way to coordinate goods and services on campus.
This number can always be obtained by your president and treasurer by emailing rso@gmu.edu to ask for the number. At the end of the re-registration, your RSO liaison will also send your organization number along with other important details.
The first step in event planning is to decide on your event purpose. The organization should ask itself these questions. What will the event accomplish? Who do we want our audience to be? How will we consider this event to be successful?
From there, it's important to determine what space will be needed to accomplish the event goals, the time, the date, and a basic schedule of what will happen at the event. If you're unfamiliar with spaces on campus, head to the Student Center's website for information on building diagrams and setups. At studentcenters.gmu.edu/events/diagrams-venue-setups/.
The first step to book the space on 25 Live. This should be done at least 4 to 5 months before your event. All spaces at George Mason University are booked in 25 Live. 25 Live is used for the Fairfax, Arlington, and Science and Technology campuses. 25 Live can help you decide how many people are attending the event, the time of the event, and the event setup and breakdown times. It's important to book the space for an event well in advance.
As a Tier 3 organization and with the ability to hold large-scale events, your event may need a checklist. Remember that any event could be issued a checklist, but it is to help your organization ensure that all the necessary communication is happening across campus. Be prepared to complete a checklist for your event. All checklists are due 10 business days before your event, and your spaces cannot confirmed by event management until this has been completed.
Any member of your organization can help to complete the checklist, but all of the steps must be completed on time, no matter who completes it. Event checklist steps are as follows. Obtain the list from events management. This always comes first. You must obtain the checklist in person. Then get a signature from event services, the police form along with a signature on a physical checklist, your advisor's signature, and then student involvement, which is always second to last, and events management again, which is always last.
Remember that police, events, we will now go through each of the basic event planning details and how this is implemented on George Mason's campus. Step 1, using 25 Live. Go to 25live.gmu.edu and sign in. Do not use Firefox. Remember that locations that have been favorited with a star makes it easier to find the location. Are you unfamiliar with spaces available on campus? Head to the Student Center's website for more information on building diagrams and setups. At studentcenters.gmu.edu/events/diagrams-venue-setups/.
In the events box, all of the events where you are a requester will be listed. As a student organization leader, you are only permitted to have 25 Live access for one organization. Once you have obtained your username and login, this may not be given to anyone else. Misuse of 25 Live logins may cause for the revocation of your name, login, and organization's access to space on George Mason's campus. Any space or event booked under your organization will be held accountable for any damages or fees incurred.
If your organization has booked a space, it is important to always cancel the space if it is not needed. It's extremely important to make sure the organization is communicating this information. An event is considered a no-show if the event staff visit the space 3 or more times during the event reservation time and find that the venue is not being utilized by either the host or patrons of the event. In accordance with the event services procedures and guidelines, if a group is considered a no-show, a fee of $100 for each large meeting space and $50 for each small meeting space will be assessed. This is intended to encourage fair and efficient usage of our facilities and will be enforced upon the next infraction by your organization or department. For future events, please work with the Office of University Events to identify possible cancellations at least 25 hours prior to your event reservation. Also, if you only plan on using your reserved location for a small portion of the scheduled time, please update your reservation to reflect the shortened time.
For a full list of space usage guidelines, cancellation policies, and other event information, please visit the site at student-center.gmu.edu/events-services-policies/general-for-space-use/.
To create an event, search for a specific location. Click on the blue tab titled Locations. To make a room a favorite location, click on the star on the left. There are 3 different tabs. List includes the items that are available with the room. Availability, the dates which the room is available. And Calendar. On the Availability tab, the green space means that the room is not available, and the white space means the room that is available. Once you click on the desired space, you will be prompted to the Events Wizard space.
Creating an event. Click on the Event Wizard and enter the event name. Be as specific as possible. Event name and event title will be the same. It will only be different in cases if the event is part of a week-long activity, for example, iWeek or International Week. Enter student organization for the event type. In the search box, select your primary organization. You will select your registered student organization in which you have 25 live access for. If you have any additional collaborators for this event, you will put it in at this time. Then click Next. Expected headcount. Estimate higher than the anticipated number of individuals coming to the event. Event description. Be as detailed as possible in your description. Explain who will be attending the event and what the event entails. If the scheduler does not have adequate information, he or she may delay in scheduling for the event.
Reoccurs, click Yes. If the event start and end date will be the same, you can specify if you want pre-event time and post time to set up and clean up. Setup time is for the operations crew. Most meeting rooms require a 1 hour between meetings, and large spaces require 4 hours. Always click Ad hoc Repeats and select the dates you want the events to repeat. It must always have the same time frame. Otherwise, create a new event. If you need resources, such as an LCD projector, select it from the Resources menu. Also, be sure to favorite the resource. Complete all the event attributes section. You will always be listed as a scheduler and requester when you put in a request. After booking a space, the most important thing as an organization you will need to decide is what will be included in the budget and how will you obtain funding. The first item on the budget list for campus planning would be what items would you need from event services.
Event services staff are here to help you put on your event. Their staff consists of operations assistants that help to set up rooms, the services concierge staff that will help answer questions and troubleshoot issues, and the event services professional staff that can help determine what may be the best for your event prior to your event.
The services concierge staff also help monitor the buildings, assist with technology, and enforce space guidelines. They are on duty whenever the student center buildings are open. Any last-minute event changes must be approved by the services concierge staff.
The services concierge staff can be contacted at 703-993-8919 or through the room JCG 25.
An important item as a leader of the organization or event is to know how to book services. Any member of the organization can help complete this task. But remember, the space needs to already be booked by the president or treasurer of the organization when you submit the form for event services. Have the event reference number with you when you fill out this form.
Remember, you can look at studentcenters.gmu.edu/events/diagrams-venue-setups for helpful diagrams, as well as capacities of each room. Remember to pay for event services. That is all taken care of internally in student involvement via the business manager and your organization code. We will plan the bench painting event. Fill in the name of your organization or department. You will always click on student organization. Click in your organization code, which you can obtain from student involvement via rso@gmu.edu. Fill in your event, your client name, and your phone number, as well as your email. Then include the event information. You want to click on the campus and the venue and your event name. You will also want to include the event day. And your 25 live reference number will be required. You want the time that you want your equipment set up by. Make sure to pay attention to AM or PM, as well as the event start time and the event end time. The contact on the day of, which may be different from yourself. The phone number for the day of. And then what the event type is. What's happening at your event? You want to help event services understand what you are doing at the event. Your expected attendance. This should match your 25 live expected attendance as well. Whether you will need wired microphones, wireless handheld microphones, or headsets and lavaliers. You also need to indicate any audio inputs or needs and any projectors. Be mindful that some spaces come with projectors or microphones, so you will want to connect with the event services staff about what is available in the space or check out the website. Projection screens, lighting needs, and any laptops that you may need. Non-technical requests, staging. You can request stages, which you will need a temporary structure permit form for. You can receive that by contacting rso@gmu.edu. A podium, stanchions, coat racks, easels, as well as all kinds of tables and chairs. You want to be as clear as possible so event services can provide the necessary support for your event. Make sure you agree to these terms and conditions and type in the information at the bottom and press submit. You will then receive an events estimate from the event services staff, as well as a confirmation link for you to confirm your services.
The next item to determine for what catering, if any, will be used for the event. In this section of the training, we will go over how to book Sodexo, which is our on-campus catering, as well as important items to remember for off-campus catering. To book on-campus catering, you must go to masoncatering.catertracks.com. Click on Order to start the process. Then sign in at the top of the page. As this is a new website, it's important to do some exploring so you know what some of the options are from Sodexo for your event. Please click on the icon at the top that says Explore. This will allow you to look at different menus, including the flavors, as well as others. Another short 1-minute video you can watch is Ordering Made Easy. This will help you navigate the site a bit better. You can also see other menus by clicking on the icon Order at the top of the page. To order, click on Flavors. After you have signed in, remember to type in your event date and number of guests. We will be putting in the event details of bench painting. Remember to review the options as prompted on the side. There may be dates that are blocked off. This means that unfortunately, Sodexo is unable to provide services that day. For bench painting, we will click on the Grab and Go boxed lunches. We will choose turkey, which then brings us to a variety of options for sides, dessert, beverage, and any special instructions. We make sure that we put in the quantity and press order. It will appear in our cart. We will do the same for grilled chicken and a vegetarian option. In case we will choose the roasted veggie club with pesto. At the top, we can view our order totals, amount owed, and click on Checkout. This will allow us to confirm the date, campus, pickup or delivery, confirm event contact information, pickup time, and information, as well as any special instructions. The screen will then give you another opportunity to review your order as well as any other details. It's important to ensure that the event name is the same name for the 25 live reservations, event services, as well as catering. You will then go to payment information. All RSOs will choose state account. You will then enter your 6-digit organization code and choose student club function from the drop-down menu. Then fill in the name of the event description, and choose Margot Thorson, sibudget@gmu.edu as the approver from the drop-down menu. Remember to pay for Sodexo, that this is taken care of internally in student involvement via the business manager. You may include as many emails to CC the event catering information to share with this and your president or the treasurer for event information sharing purposes. Remember, it is always important to communicate as much as possible to fellow members of your organization. The more everyone is informed, the better an event will operate. The other option is to have off-campus catering. These vendors can be found on an approved catering list available at approvedcatering.gmu.edu.
You must always check this list as it is constantly updated with vendors being added and removed based on the insurance and information being up to date.
As an organization, you may not have catering that is not on the approved catering list or Sodexo. This is important to remember as the Commonwealth of Virginia does do its due diligence on maintaining insurance records and important information regarding these vendors.
Another thing to note is that all food items must be prepared by an approved caterer or Sodexo. This includes sandwich platters, which can be purchased from Giant or other places like Giant, or items must be given out as individually packaged by the manufacturer. This means that bake sales or potlucks are not permitted on campus. Food may not be prepared by anyone other than an approved caterer. An example of this would be donuts or cookies. When having these at an event, be sure to purchase the individually packaged items versus having them in a box or a bag where people are welcome to help themselves. People at events should be able to determine at all times what is in each item they are consuming.
If the vendor takes a purchase order as a form of payment, then you will need to submit the purchase order request form. If the order is over $2,000, then a food and beverage form should also be submitted to the business manager of student involvement to sibudget@gmu.edu.
You will need to put the vendor name and information both here and on the food and beverage form if it is over $2,000. If it is under $2,000, you will just need the purchase order request form. This is an important change from last year. If you do not have the tax ID number, contact person, telephone, email, or address, please contact Margot at sibudget@gmu.edu as the business manager of student involvement. You will need to put the event name, date, description, and when the purchase order is required by. Remember that you must submit this at least 3 business days before to Margot for her to process. You have to request whether it is Student Funding Board or self-generated revenue and the purchase order amount, as well as fill in the organization name, organization number, requester's name, email, and telephone in this information. Identical information will be filled in the food and beverage form if you need this because it is over $2,000.
If the vendor does not take a purchase order and you still want to use the vendor, then the only option would be for the organization to pay the vendor and seek reimbursement from student involvement.
You will fill out the RSO payment request form, and if the order is over $2,000, then the food and beverage form would also need to be submitted to sibudget@gmu.edu. For the RSO payment request form, you need similar information as the purchase order request. You put your name, address of who is being paid. So this would be, if you are being reimbursed, this would be your information, the event information, whether the funding came from SFB or self-generated revenue. Remember, you must always have requested SFB before the event to seek a reimbursement. And then all of the org information, number, your name, information, as well as your signature. Remember, if the order is over $2,000, then you will need to fill out similar information on the food and beverage request form. You need to include your name here, as well as your student organization name and student club function. This is only for orders that are over $2,000. This is a change from last academic year.
Remember that the most important part of this process for an off-campus vendor is the receipt is returned in after the event. All off-campus catering is tax exempt, so you must be ready to give the caterer the Mason tax exempt number for catering.
If the receipt is not turned in, the vendor will not receive payment. This receipt must be the original itemized receipt, as a credit card signature slip is not acceptable. Whether you are paying via a purchase order or reimbursement, the original itemized receipt must always be turned in immediately after the event. The longer you wait The next item to determine is what are the miscellaneous details of your event. These can be decorations, or if you have a speaker or panel coming to the event, and any of the other items.
Remember, if a speaker is not getting paid, every person needs to fill out the no pay agreement and turn it in to Amber Duffy in student involvement. Her email is aduffy3@gmu.edu. All of those who come to campus will be referred to as vendors. This includes a variety of people, including speakers, lecturers, DJs, performers, fashion designers, workshop instructors, entertainers, etc. When initially thinking about bringing a vendor to campus, please make sure that they are communicative, willing to obtain insurance, sign a contract, and fill out paperwork, as well as understand that they will not be paid until a minimum 30 days after the event.
As a reminder, contracts should never be sent to a vendor without having someone in student involvement to check over it first. It is extremely important to look at the contract carefully to type in the fillable parts of the contract first.
The first item to obtain from a vendor are the proof of insurance, and have them fill out the Virginia W-9 form that you can send to them via email. This form is available on the fiscal management portion of the student involvement website. The proof of insurance for every vendor will be event insurance. Remember that as a student, it is not your responsibility to help the vendor obtain this insurance.
There are a variety of ways that vendors can obtain the insurance they need. First, the vendor can work with their current providers of health insurance, car insurance, or other insurance to see if they also provide event insurance. This tends to be the easiest and most cost-effective option. The second option to see if the vendor belongs to a national association or affiliated with a larger governing body. There are some associations that can help provide insurance to a vendor. The last option, and one that is not recommended as it can be costly, is tulip insurance. If the lecturer or entertainer is coming to campus for a fee, and that fee is either required by the vendor, lecturer, DJ, entertainer, etc., or discussed as compensation for time, then a contract needs to be filled out by the vendor. There are very few uses for honorariums and should not be used in most cases.
If the vendor is just lecturing, which means they are not interacting with the audience in any way, shape, or form, then the lecturer agreement would be appropriate. The lecturer contract requires insurance of $1 million worth of umbrella and $1 million general aggregate. This insurance form can be found at the fiscal management portion of the student involvement website.
This also includes fashion designers and workshop instructors. Any other vendor that is not lecturing will fit under the entertainment contract. It is called the Event and Entertainment Agreement Form. This form and the term contract are interchangeable. The vendors using an event and entertainment form will have to obtain $1 million worth of umbrella insurance and $2 million worth of aggregate. You will have to fill out the Student Services, Entertainment, and Event Agreement form.
When thinking about doing a contract, please immediately contact student involvement. It is vital to connect with a staff member in student involvement as soon as possible to help you with this process, as it often takes quite a while to make sure that the contract is correct. The recommended time frame is 30 business days, and this is even working within a short time frame.
The most important item to remember that this process needs extreme attention to detail. Failure to fill out the contract correctly several times will delay the process even further.
Remember, there are 5 steps to completing the contract process.
The first step is to initially fill out the fillable portions of the contract. You will need to obtain the proof of insurance and have the vendor fill out the VA W-9 form to help you fill in the contract. You can find the VA W-9 form on the Student Involvement website. However, the proof of insurance will need to be provided by the vendor. Once you have all 3 of these documents, the initial contract not signed by the vendor, the proof of insurance, and the VA W-9 form, then please send this to a staff member in Student Involvement to review.
Remember, as a student, you should not be coordinating the insurance aspect or helping the DJ or other vendor to obtain the insurance. This is their responsibility as the person that is being contracted with. Also, remember that George Mason University is not ever able to pay for insurance costs.
The staff member will review the contract and let you know if there are any changes to be made. If there are changes, please make these quickly and send them back to the staff member for final approval.
These initial exchanges often take the longest. It's important to remember to respond in a timely manner and ensure that you are paying attention to detail.
Once you get the final approval of the contract from student involvement staff, then you need to send it back to the vendor for their signature.
It is important to remember 3 things. 1, remember that digital signatures are not accepted. This means that they must print out and sign the actual contract. 2, the signature of the vendor must be in cursive. 3, a DJ should be sent the entire contract, sign the last page, as well as initial the bottom of all the pages. They should scan this document and send it back to you as an entire document.
Once the vendor, DJ or otherwise, signs a document and fills it out, please make sure all of the documents are complete and collected as well. The whole contract packet includes the contract, which is the event and entertainment form, the Accord insurance form, which is from the vendor and is proof of insurance, the invoice that the vendor provides, the VAW-9 form that the vendor fills out, an independent contractor form that the vendor also fills out, and the purchase order request form that is filled out by the organization.
All of these forms, other than the proof of insurance, can be found on the fiscal management portion of the student involvement website.
Once the DJ has signed the document and has been checked over along with the insurance by a staff member in student involvement, you will need to submit the proof of insurance and the contract at least 10 business days before the event to the contract link on the fiscal management portion of the student involvement website. This absolutely needs to be done at least 10 business days before the event. There are 4 to 5 administrators that have to approve the contract, so the earlier that this is submitted via the Dynamic Forms link, the better off you will be. If the contract is not approved before the event date, the university is unable to pay the vendor.
This portion of the video is intended to help you walk through the electronic approval process for the event and entertainment agreements or external contracts at the university. It can be a bit complicated at times, but the information that this video provides will really help your organization when you want to plan big events. We're going to jump right into it.
In order to complete the routing request, please make sure to have the following information available: your event title, date, start time, end time, setup time, takedown time, location, 25 live reference number, and the vendor performer name, completed and signed by the vendor and or performer agreement that has been approved by student involvement and is located under the fiscal management portion of the student involvement website, as well as the insurance documents.
I know this seems like a lot to keep track of, but it'll give you a great experience on how to navigate complex forms.
So the best way to figure it out is to just go through it. That's what we are going to do now.
First, you're going to want to navigate the student involvement webpage by going to si.gmu.edu. After this page is loaded, please use the top navigation bar, select Register Student Organization with your mouse. This will take you to the Register Student Organization homepage. From this, you will use the left-hand navigation bar and select Fiscal Management. From here, you will scroll down to the section listed Useful Websites. Please select the link titled Event and Entertainment Contract Routing. This link will take you to a secure website where you will be able to upload your signed contract, insurance, and procurement documents for review by the student involvement team and university life. After selecting the link, a login page will request that you use your NetID and Patriot password to log into Dynamic Forms. Dynamic Forms is the secure website tool that the institution uses to accept event and entertainment agreements. Once you have completed the login process, you will see the event and entertainment agreement routing page. You will notice that the page has already populated your first and last name, G number, and email address. You're not able to modify these fields. If any of this information is incorrect, please contact Information Technology Support Center. Please begin by filling out the event and entertainment agreement routing, noting that any field with an asterisk is required. Begin by entering your telephone number, where you may be reached at in the business phone and cell phone sections. Please note that it must be 3-digit area code dash 3-digit number 3-number dash 4 numbers. You should select student involvement as your department. Continue by completing this form by entering your event title. Please note that this must match your 25 Live event title, Get Connected event title, and SFB application title. Follow the event title by completing the date from and to sections with a format restriction of month, day, year. After your start time, end time, setup time, and breakdown time for this event by using hour, minute, 24-hour clock. For example, an event that begins at 6 p.m. would be 1800. An event that begins at 6 a.m. would be 06-00. Please enter your specific location to include full building names, dash room number or name, followed by 25 Live reference number. An example of the 25 Live number on this is 2017 AFHGRE. You may place any event specific, such as event description, in the event comment section provided. In the final section of the routing page, please enter the full name of the vendor or performer agreement being reviewed. Please then use your web browser for selecting to choose the file button and selecting the appropriate file for these sections. Please note that every agreement is required to meet insurance minimums and therefore
Organizations who are RSOs have access to an organization account on campus. This is the 6-digit number beginning with 610 followed by 3 other numbers that is assigned to your organization. This number can be obtained by the president and the treasurer of the organization through student involvement via email or in person. This number is always sent to the president and treasurer by the RSO lead team at the end of every registration period. It is good to keep this email for record purposes.
Before we continue on how to obtain funding, remember it's important to keep records of your organization's budgets and financial records for up to 3 fiscal years. This is information that could be requested at any time in case of auditing.
There are 2 ways that student organizations can have funding. The first is called self-generated revenue, or SGR, as mentioned in the catering section of this video. Self-generated revenue is exactly as the name describes, revenue or funding that is generated by the organization and deposited into your organization account on campus. SGR can be obtained in a variety of ways. Student involvement encourages organizations to find ways to create their own revenue sources. This type of funding can be spent to the discretion of the organization. Examples of fundraising in the past have been organization member dues, working with local restaurants to fundraise for a portion of their revenue, and charging admission to events. These are by no means the only way an organization can raise money.
Student Funding Board is a great place for RSOs to ask for funding, but remember it's not the only place. Student Funding Board is available to those organizations that complete all phases of re-registration. Tier 3 has access up to $5,000 for the entire academic year. The application is available on the Student Involvement website and the Get Connected form. So a president or treasurer must log in with their net ID and password.
When filling out a Student Funding Board application, it is important to remember that this funding does not come automatically to the organization and should be viewed similarly to a grant application. As a state institution, there are certain things that change from year to year that the Commonwealth may be unable to fund.
When filling out the Student Funding and Board application, it's important to have the space reserved, a budget laid out, all budget documents accepted, any invoices or estimates for the items being requested. All of those items are extremely helpful to have on hand to upload into the Student Funding Board application. This helps the board to understand what the event will look like, who is involved, and how the event will be successfully implemented.
Remember that in order for Student Funding Board to allocate funding, the event must be on Get Connected. Putting events on Get Connected is something that RSOs should be in the practice of. Every event that the organization plans and implements should be listed on their Get Connected page. Remember that how to put an event on Get Connected is in the resources video for your tier.
It's important to pay attention to the deadlines located on the Student Involvement website and the Student Funding Board section of the website. On this website, it will clearly state when the deadline is, when the board will review it, what allocations will be sent by, and what event dates are eligible for that deadline.
It is vital for the organization and smooth implementation of the event that you apply for funding well in advance. The recommended timeline is 6 weeks to ensure that you have time to appeal the funding and arrange the spending.
There are some common misconceptions with SFB that it's important to address. One, the first is that the funding is already put into organizations' accounts at the beginning of the year and can be spent from there. This is not true. All Student Funding Board funding must be applied for through the application process well in advance of the event. The SFB process is similar to a grant process. The application is used to determine what can be spent, catering for example, versus decorations, which SFB cannot fund. Remember that estimates, invoices, etc. will help Student Funding Board have a clear vision of what the event will look like, but it is also important to understand that SFB cannot fund everything.
Another common misconception is with appeals. To appeal a Student Funding Board allocation of $0, students just need to reply with the items that are requested. To help keep clear communication, no funding is allocated if a portion of the application is missing. This can be as simple as an advisor approval form on Get Connected or Get Connected event. Once these are completed, reply all to the original email to let SFB know it has been completed, or send the information that is needed, like an event services invoice.
Whether it be self-generated revenue, SGR, or Student Funding Board, SFB, remember that spending process is the same. On-campus vendors are coordinated through student involvement with your organization number, and paperwork does not need to be submitted. This is the same for SGR and SFB. However, remember that you have to request SFB well in advance to ensure that you have the funding.
You must arrange all funding with vendors off campus. This means connecting with the vendor to ensure that they will either take a purchase order or if you will go through the reimbursement process.
A purchase order form must be filled out and submitted to student involvement. sibudget@gmu.edu. If the vendor is willing to take the purchase order, remember that you must arrange this with the vendor beforehand.
If a vendor does not take a purchase order or you are unable to obtain one, the reimbursement form must be filled out and submitted to student involvement at sibudget@gmu.edu.
Remember, you must either have self-generated revenue or requested student funding board 4 to 5 weeks before the event in order to receive funding. If the catering is off campus, then you will need to arrange for payment.
It is important to an event to determine what funding will be used for the event, whether it be self-generated revenue, SGR, which is funding earned by the organization with fundraising or otherwise, or student funding board, which can be requested from SFB before the event. All funding questions can be answered by Student Funding Board at sfb@gmu.edu or from the Business Manager of Student Involvement at sibudget@gmu.edu. Information regarding fiscal management can be found on the RSO page of Student Involvement website. Here, you can find the Fiscal Management Handbook and other forms you may need to fill out, such as the RSO Payment Request Form, the Purchase Order Form, the Food and Beverage Form, and other contracting forms.
Once you have booked the space and services, decided on the budget, and how to obtain and spend your funding, then you'll want to advertise your event.
The following options are always available to advertise your event or organization. The Get Connected event, which you must always do, kiosk or tables, Orga TV or Mason TV, flyers, table tents, chalking, easels, banners, Eventbrite, your social media or RSO or student involvement social media, the RSO listserv, cubes, and the George Mason statue.
Always good to come up with a plan of who will do what and when. This way you can maximize your members and e-board to really help get the word out about your event.
Please review the Tier 3 resources video or the RSO handbook available at si.gmu.edu for all other advertising opportunities on campus.
After you have booked the space and services, decided on a budget, how to obtain funding, advertise for your event, your organization will need to discuss if anything else is going into the event. Some examples would be inviting a speaker, holding a panel, developing an agenda, developing a production schedule to inform the whole team of their responsibilities for the event, any other details that you will want to include in your event.
Remember that a Tier 3 organization, if assigned a checklist, needs to pick up that checklist at events management physically on floor 2 of Merton Hall, then obtain signatures from the advisor, police, event services, and student involvement, and then take it back to events management, with the possibility that there will be other signatures assigned, such as environmental health and safety. Remember, it is your responsibility as the leader of an organization to really think about all of the different details of the event, but to also delegate these responsibilities.